Put your hands together for Old Men in Sweat. Old Men in Sweat. Put your hands together, y'all. Barry D, Tommy T. We gonna have a good time tonight. Let's go, let's go. It's Old Men in Sweat.
Yeah. So Tommy, you got look at they're doing push-ups.
Can't play with them. Can't win with them. Can't do it.
So did you see that? They were doing the push-ups. Navy just scored again. Navy-Army game. Navy just scored. They're up 14-0, and they do those push-ups.
Yeah, I don't care about those two crappy teams.
No, I like them. I like Navy. I like their old school way of playing, and I like Army's old school way of playing. But my favorite, because I like how they do their game. You got to give these guys respect. Good. These guys don't even sleep. They're up early morning. They got all these classes, all this other stuff they got to do. Then they got to do practice. I don't even know how they do it. But guess what? My favorite service team is
the Air Force Academy.
Yeah, and you know why? Because I love that little wing tee or wishbone thing they do. Whatever that thing is they do.
Yeah.
Is it a wing tee?
It was like the triple option, the wishbone triple option, but they stopped doing that years ago though. They don't do that no more.
They should do it. It was very successful.
It was successful in the 80s. I mean, they're no good. Those teams are no good. They don't get. I mean, this Army team was about as good as there's been in years. I mean, they were up there. They got 9 wins or something, right? I mean, but
they were top 25, and Navy was top 25 for a while.
Yeah, I think what they did was I think they eased the restrictions because in years past when Roger Staubach played for Navy and he won the Heisman Trophy in the early 60s, he had a 5-year naval commitment after he graduated from college.
Yeah.
So I think that they eased those restrictions. I think they don't make you serve the 5 years anymore after college.
Oh.
I think that's why they're getting better players. Yeah, you're right. Army's 11-1, Navy's 8-3, so they're good.
Yeah, at one time they both were ranked like 20, like Army was 24 and Navy was 25 or something like that.
Army's 22 right now.
Yeah, I like both these teams, but Air Force is my favorite team. But I don't know what it is. I like just their old school way of playing, and I give these guys a lot of respect because all the other stuff they have to do, like in school, and all the other physical stuff for being an officer and all that. I mean, it's there. But the thing is, the funniest thing about it all is this, because obviously, mental errors and penalties and things that guys do, right, could cause a bad thing for a team, which obviously will segue. You're going to segue into something that was bad for a team. But the thing about these guys, because they're so disciplined, they're so smart, they everything they do is so precise. Like, I know they get penalties, but these guys, like, when you watch them, you can just tell how smart they are and how much they practice and how everything's so detailed. It's just freaky.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I watch it. You watch it, and you're like, man, these guys, like every guy, you could tell he's dialed in because you got to be smart to go to one of the academies and then physically, you got to be good to play football or any kind of sport. But
so Barry D likes the old school Army Navy game, which it's a classic every year for the last nearly 100 years. So I get that. But there's something that's even better old school today. There's a better old school game than even this Army Navy game, which has been going for 100 years.
Yeah.
Right. The old school game right now going today is at the Carrier Dome. It's the Georgetown Hoyas against the Syracuse Orange. Now that's old school from the 80s. Yeah, they're playing right now. The Georgetown's winning 56-55 in the second half. Georgetown's 7-2. Syracuse is 5-4. Neither one of these teams are top teams anymore in the nation like they were back in the 80s. Back in the 80s, this Georgetown-Syracuse game was the greatest game, and they would play 3 times a year. They would meet twice in the regular season, and they would always meet in the conference tournament, and they had some legendary games in the conference tournament back in the 80s. So this is the real old school that's more pertinent for you and I.
So let me ask you something. So I didn't know Georgetown and Syracuse still play because Syracuse is in the ACC.
Yeah, Georgetown is still in the Big East.
Yeah, so I didn't know they crossed over. They still played. I thought they
still managed to get one game a year in. which I think that they schedule it. They get it in the it's always in the preseason. Like the conference schedule hasn't started yet. It starts usually after the holidays. So they always manage to play around this time. And I think that they do it, because these two programs, they're legendary programs. And also I'm sure that Syracuse wants this game every year because they've always recruited out of Georgetown's backyard.
Yeah, DeMatha, right?
They went to DeMatha, they went to Baltimore Dunbar, they went to Dunbar, they went to DC high schools. So Syracuse wants to play Georgetown every year, like without a doubt.
Yeah, because they wouldn't really want to play the other old school teams from that league was St. John's, Seton Hall.
Oh yeah, they would like to play St. John's still. I think they do play St. John's, periodically they do. But yeah, like the Seton Halls, and the Villanovas, we don't get to play them anymore. Connecticut, UConn. Remember the UConn games?
And the other thing about it, like you said, it's good for recruiting because Philly's got a lot of good ball players too. It's good for, and obviously New York City, St. John's, and Seton Hall, it's Jersey, but it's still New York. But the thing is too, I think it's good that they do play. It was a shame that the league, Syracuse left and all that. But, I know that they brought in Creighton, right, and some other teams. Didn't they bring in a couple other teams?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Jim Boeheim said it best. Jim Boeheim said, we don't want to leave the Big East. No. The Big East was great, even for football back in the day. Yeah. The Big East was great. But Jim Boeheim said that football dictates where these colleges go because of the television contracts. So they have to go. Like Syracuse had to go to the ACC, and UConn couldn't go to the ACC because they didn't have a big enough football program.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, of course, now they have DePaul and they have Creighton, and they have they even have do they have the St. Louis Billikens? I mean, they even have other weird teams in there, I don't know. They got other teams in there.
Is Xavier in there? No, they're not in there, right? Xavier?
No, I think Xavier's still in that conference that they were in, the Horizon or one of those conferences. I don't know.
But I think they do. I don't know how many games they have open that they could play, like a St. John's or Seton Hall or Villanova. They're obviously playing Georgetown because I think they have to do that too, because you have to remember the Northeast. I mean, we grew up here. The geography of it, for a game of Syracuse against Villanova in Philly or in Syracuse, it's big stuff. Wow. Georgetown, for the Syracuse to go play Georgetown in Washington, D.C. People go to those games in this whole eastern seaboard up Northeast. They'll travel to a game. Yeah. That kind of stuff, especially the old school people. So today's game's at the Dome. It's not called Carrier Dome anymore. It's
Oh, come on.
What? Yeah, no, it's called JN something.
The Carrier is the only big business in that town.
No, it closed. No, they closed. They're done.
So wasn't it an air conditioning company or something like that?
Yeah, Carrier was huge. They were a very prominent air conditioning heating company. They're gone now. They don't even have a plant in Syracuse anymore. And I think it's called JNA Cellular. I don't know what, some weird thing. Look up, if you go to the ESPN app and then go Gamecast, and then on the bottom it says where it is, where the game is and the weather, it's going to say the name of the dome, or just look it up.
It's the JMA Wireless Dome.
What is that? What is JMA Wireless? It's not even T-Mobile. They couldn't even get T-Mobile or Verizon. Or even Mint Mobile. They could have got that actor. He's got that Mint Mobile thing. What's that guy's name? Ryan Reynolds? Is that his name? He owns that Mint Mobile. I don't even know what that cellular thing is. It's probably something they sell in those crappy stores upstate that have bongs and all this all this other stuff, weird stuff, and they probably sell prepaid phones or something. It doesn't make any sense.
That's hilarious.
I don't even know. Yeah, you didn't know Carrier closed, huh? Plant.
I mean, I should have known. I mean,
come on.
Why would they keep it that?
They all close. Yeah, they all close. But you know what? It's interesting that game's on. We grew up upstate, big CUSE fans, and the interesting thing about that game being on now, also, and talking about the old times, and because let's face it, that Big East basically launched ESPN. I mean, come on. I mean, the Big East and ESPN,
Well, Dave Gavitt. Gavitt was the old coach of the Providence Friars back in the 70s when Providence played in the Final Four, I think, in the 70s, right? The Big East was Dave Gavitt's idea. Yep. So Dave Gavitt originally pitched the Big East as a conference. He pitched it to ESPN. And Dave Gavitt the reason he pitched the conference was the big cities, was New York, Boston College, Villanova for Philly, Georgetown for DC. So he was pitching the big cities. He pitched the television markets. So he was the first one. He was ahead of its time. The conferences were never formed for television networks. The old Southwestern Conference, with Texas and Texas A&M and SMU, that wasn't formed. They were formed regionally. The SEC was formed regionally back in the 30s, 40s, 50s. When they formed these conferences, they did it so these schools, they were all located nearby. The Big East was the first conference that was put together based off of television markets, and now that's everything in college sports.
Yeah, it was way ahead of its time.
Television markets, yeah.
And ESPN was just starting out, so that was a big get for ESPN, bigger than they probably thought. I went to Providence. I visited Providence a couple times. They got a Dave Gavitt Way street. It's called Dave Gavitt Way. Well, Dave
Gavitt changed the way sports, the way college sports, the way it's delivered to us. Dave Gavitt, it was his first brainchild to put a conference together based off of television, based off of the television markets.
It was such a brilliant idea. And again, getting back to the connection of all this, like, unfortunately, it was this week or last week that Lou CARNESECCA passed away.
Yeah, Georgetown. Well, John Thompson passed away years ago. Yep. Louis C. passed away. Jim Calhoun and Jim Boeheim, they both coached until basically, the schools had to push him out. Like, Calhoun would have still been there. Mm-hmm. He kept getting in bicycle accidents. He kept falling off his bike, getting hurt. And then Boeheim, I think the school just basically forced him out, even though Boeheim did better than his kid, the kid here, Adrian Autry. Adrian Autry's having a hard time, Boeheim was struggling too, but Boeheim would still get the team up there every other year. But they're no good now. I watched them. They stink.
But I thought it was sad that CARNESECCA, he was like 99. He was old. He was really 99. Old. Yeah. And I felt bad, but I thought it was interesting that Pitino wore that sweater. Remember, he had all those weird sweaters, CARNESECCA? Yeah. And Pitino had one that was exactly the same, and he wore it like the next game right after CARNESECCA died. And also, Raleigh Massimino, he died, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Raleigh passed away. Yeah.
That freaking guy was good. Yeah. The characters, it's like central casting. When we were growing up, people don't get how fantastic it was it was the best thing about living up there. The Big East Conference and basketball, it was the best thing. And no one really understands the characters. Like, you just named all the coaches, and all of them had their own character, personality, weirdness. It was great. It was central casting.
Well, one of my favorite stories about the Big East was this Chris Mullen. Chris Mullen graduated from St. John's in 1985, and Mullen played on the Olympic team in '84. That Coach Bobby Knight coached in Los Angeles in the Olympics. And Mullen had this great story. He said that he signed with St. John's in '82 or whatever it was, like '81, '82. He signed with St. John's. He was going to go to St. John's, and he said that all the guys, from New York, they all played, they all played against each other, like whether it was on the, on the playgrounds or whatever, they all played against each other. And he said, when one of us signed with St. John's or with one of the Syracuse or whatever it was, if we bumped into them, we would recruit them to the other school. So Mullen bumped into Ed Pinckney, who was also from New York. And Mullen signed with St. John's, and Mullen told Pinckney, "You got to go sign with Villanova. Like, you should sign with Nova. We'll play against each other." And he said that we recruited the other guys to the other schools in the Big East. So it was great. I mean, back then they all played with each other in high school in either BC or Baltimore or Philly or New York. And then when they signed with a school in the Big East, they would tell the other guy, "Go sign with Syracuse or go sign with Georgetown. We'll play against each other."
That's so crazy, and that's like remarkable. I mean, that was a good move, though. Like, they all wanted to still compete against each other. They wanted to compete against the best. But it was so. I would just remember as a kid how great it was. So then we'd go to the Y and play hoops at the Y as young kids, and we always wanted to be like the Big East. Like, it was weird. Like, I remember, like, everybody loved the Big East. Like, everybody loved playing the 2-3 zone where we grew up because everybody was a CUSE fan. Everybody wanted to play the 2-3 zone. 2-3 zone.
It's the greatest.
It's just it's funny that you got that on. Like, that's like fantastic. The only sad thing about all of it is, like, we moved out of upstate because the weather's like unbelievable, and we just moved out. We went to California, went to Hollywood. But I always say how funny it is. I think you had this line once. You said something like, "Yeah, look at them. They're having a great time there." At the right, remember you said this at the game?
Yeah, we were in LA. We were watching a game at the Carrier Dome, and I think it was against Georgetown. I think it was years after we were in LA, but I think it was Syracuse beat Georgetown. Billy Owens was on Syracuse then, and then we beat Georgetown in the overtime game. And you were like, "T, man, they're going crazy." Like, it was at the Carrier Dome, and you're like, "They're going crazy." And I said to you, "Yeah, Barry, but they all got to go home after the game." And you were like, "That's not cool." You're like, "T, that's no good."
I thought it was so funny, though. It is, though. But they got to drive out. There's the frozen tundra and go to the freaking. There's nothing there. I thought that was so funny.
I mean, they're having fun at the game, but they all got to go home. It's terrible.
They all got to go home. I thought that was hilarious. But I like that we just talked about that because obviously, you know, we're only a few months, January, February, you know, March Madness. We're not too far away. And you know, I like college hoops. I like watching college hoops, and college football is going to end soon. But I wanted to let's switch gears because I know there were a few things on your mind. We were texting back and forth this weekend.
The obvious one, buddy, is, you know, the Devondre Campbell, the guy who walked off the field the other night against the Rams, the linebacker for the 49ers. I mean, he's getting killed. I mean, obviously, you're right. I mean, he's getting destroyed. He's getting destroyed by everybody on ESPN, like all the guys, you know, like, I mean, Damian Woody and Ryan Clark, RC, and Bart Scott, and, you know, and of course Stephen A. Smith. They're
Are you there?
Barry D, you got me?
Yeah. Something happened to your mic, but go.
So basically, the Dre Greenlaw, he injured his Achilles in the Super Bowl last year. He tore his Achilles in the Super Bowl,
and he was the first, and he was first string.
Oh my God, he wasn't just first string. They said him and Fred Warner were like the heartbeat of the defense. I mean, he was a great player. So they signed Devondre Campbell to replace him, you know, and they brought him in the offseason to replace Dre Greenlaw. Devondre Campbell had like 3 or 4 great years with Green Bay. He's a 9-year veteran. He made an all-pro team. You know, he's a very good linebacker. So he's been playing the whole year, and Dre Greenlaw worked hard to get back, so he came back, and he played his first game this week, right? It's a big deal. Dre Greenlaw get to play his first game. Well, I guess he got hurt, or he came out of the game at halftime. I guess his knee was bothering him, or his knee stiffened up. You know, so they sent in. So they tried to send Devondre Campbell into the game, and he told them, "No, I'm not playing." And so I don't know specifically what the exchange was on the sideline, but basically they cut to Devondre Campbell walking off the field, going to the locker room, you know. So it was like remember when Antonio Brown did a strip tease off the field? Remember, it was the same thing. It was just in the middle of the game. He just walked off the field. The only thing is he didn't take off his clothes. He didn't take off his helmet or his shoulder pads and throw it all down. Antonio Brown ended up with just wearing his pants only when he got to the locker room.
Yeah, that was like a mental fucking.
Yeah, he had a breakdown. But Devondre Campbell just walked off the field, walked into the locker room, and then after the game, they asked Shanahan, and he said, yeah, he didn't want to go in the game. So, you know, we sent him to the locker room. And then, of course, the players, you know, the Kittle and, you know, the Javarius Ward, the cornerback, I mean, you know, they were like, we don't want him on the team. You know, nobody wants him on the team. Understandably, you know, you can't just refuse to go in a game. Not in the NFL. I mean, not in high school. Listen, Barry D, if you were on a varsity basketball team, and they had to put in the backup point guard, and he said, "No, I ain't going in. You didn't start me. I ain't going in." We wouldn't want him on our team. Like, we'd be like, "Get out of here."
No, and it just they would drag you off the bench and push you onto the court.
Yeah,
what's wrong? Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't get this guy. Let me ask you this: he knew Greenlaw was coming back. Was he bummed out about that? But that's how it goes.
Nobody knows. I mean, what people are saying is, I saw the other guy, the guy on Speak for Yourself, the ex linebacker. I don't even know his name. He's with that girl Joy Taylor. You know Joy Taylor, that show that Joy Taylor does. The guy
wasn't she married to Derek, or the basketball player from Michigan? One of those Fab Five guys. Wasn't she married to?
No, that's the one on First Take.
Oh, see, I get those girls all confused.
That's the one at First Take. She was married to Jalen Rose.
But anyway,
the guy on the show, he's a linebacker. He's got a brother that played linebacker too. He says that Devondre Campbell planned it. He claims that Devondre Campbell knew 4 hours before the game that he wasn't going to play. Like, he claims that this was planned. He claims that Devondre Campbell said in his mind that if they come to me, I ain't going in. I'm not going in. I mean, but listen, it's a terrible, Brady. It's a terrible thing that this guy did this. Understandably, like, it's obvious that he screwed up and his career's in jeopardy. But to watch the guys on ESPN, you know, they're more appalled at this than, you know, Michael Vick killing a bunch of dogs, or the other guy, you know, the other guy who was driving drunk killed that guy crossing the street. I mean, you know, they're getting a little carried away with the criticism. Understandably, it's a terrible thing to do. But the NFL, the ex-NFL players, they hate this more than anything. You know, I mean, it's a little out of context. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. It's like, I mean, I don't think the guy's going to play again. It's going to be hard pressed to bring him on a team, you know, but that's how it is, though. Like, if you walk off the field in the middle of a game, it's worse than committing a crime away from the stadium.
And so, do you think it had to be he was butthurt because he knew that Greenlaw was back, and he was now I'm going to be second string, but that's how life is.
I don't think the why matters.
Well, I guess I guess you're right. I'm trying to rationalize
what he was thinking. Nobody cares. Because the other thing they're saying is that there's a couple players on the team. I guess that Fred Warner, the other linebacker, has been playing with a fractured ankle. He's been playing with a broken ankle. I think Trent Williams, the all-pro tackle, his wife gave birth to a stillborn baby during the season.
Yep.
Okay. He's playing. And then Travarius Ward, I didn't know this, the starting cornerback, he had lost his 1-year-old infant passed away during the season. I didn't know that they had all this tragedy on the team. So, you know, they're saying that, I mean, if this guy's bummed out that someone took his job, this is the wrong team. It's the wrong team to do that. This team has gone through a ton of tragedy this year. The other guy, the rookie wide receiver, Ricky Pearsall, he got shot. Yeah. He got shot to begin the season. He's back playing. So, you know, this is the worst. This guy has made the biggest mistake ever. This is the worst thing he ever could have done.
No,
and just walk off the field.
And no one really knows why. And like you said, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But it has to be something with that, which is so childish because, you know, he knows when Greenlaw comes back, he's going to go in. Now, Greenlaw got hurt again. Now you go back in. It's a team sport. Like, I hate to be corny here, but that's why there's no I in team. You know, that's the corniest thing that's ever said, but it's true. And then I don't get, like, so he did plan it because he could have just said, "I'm not feeling good. I can't play today." If he, you know,
here's the other thing, though. I'm gonna give the guy a small benefit here. Small benefit of the doubt. Maybe he wasn't mentally prepared to play. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe maybe he intended. You know, he intended to be ready when the game started. He intended to be ready. Maybe he thought that he was gonna. The other thing is this. Maybe he thought that he was going to rotate in during the game a little bit in the first half. So maybe after halftime, maybe he mentally checked out. And in that game, if you're not mentally prepared to play, you could get hurt. So, you know, again, just give him the small benefit of the doubt. And I'm surprised that no one else that covers this game with ESPN or Fox Sports isn't doing the same thing. It's possible that at the time that they asked him to go back in the game, he just wasn't mentally ready. He just was like, you know what? I can't step up right now. I mean, he was pissed, he was hurt, whatever it was. And if that's the case, you know, I mean, he could stand in front of the team and just say, listen, guys, I wasn't prepared to play at that time when they asked me. I should have been. I'm sorry. He could do that.
But but the problem was he walked off the field.
Well, maybe
Right?
they threw him out. I don't know. Maybe they threw him out. Maybe when he refused to go in the game, maybe the coach said, then get off the field. Like, I don't know.
And what kind of contract did this guy have?
He signed a 1-year, $5 million contract. I did the math. I sent you the math. I think he makes a $274,000 a game.
And how much is guaranteed of that?
I don't think the full thing is guaranteed, but he's made over $39 million, buddy.
All right.
In his career. He's made almost $40 million. I mean, he makes $294,000 a game. Game check, $294,000. Wow. So they're saying that he shouldn't get a game check. They're saying that they shouldn't pay him for this.
You know what they should do? You know what they should do? They should donate the game check to something.
But it's not that simple. The guy who said he shouldn't get a game check also said, well, the union will fight for it, but they should let the union fight for his game check.
Yeah, they will. You're right. I forgot about that. Of course, they'll do that.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. Well, I didn't think about all that other stuff that you said, which was very interesting. All the trials and tribulations that team's gone through. Like, he obviously is a selfish guy. He never even thought of those things. You brought those up. I didn't even know about. I knew about the guy getting shot, but these other ones you brought up, it's like these guys are stepping up. He's really not a good guy to have on the team. Obviously, I mean, God, he's a cancer.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And didn't this happen before? To the Niners way back with a coach.
Well, it happened. When I sent you the link, I wanted you to put up Michael Singletary. Mike Singletary coached the Niners in 2009, 2010, and they had a good player, Vernon Davis. Something happened with Vernon Davis, and Singletary sent him off the field, and then he gave a post-game speech that was in the same realm as Dennis Green. Remember, Dennis Green said, they are who we thought they are. They are who we thought they are. And then, of course, the famous one, Jim Morris saying playoffs. So Mike Singletary gave that post-game speech afterwards where he went on a tirade, saying he ended it with, I can't play with him, can't win with him, can't do it. Right? So can't win with him. So
I think I got that. You want me to cue it up and you can talk over it?
Yeah. Show them that.
Vernon just, it was something that I told everybody at the very beginning of the week. I will not tolerate players that think it's about them when it's about the team. No. You know what? This is how I believe, okay? I'm from the old school. I believe this. I would rather play with 10 people and just get penalized all the way until we got to do something else, rather than play with 11 when I know that right now that person is not sold out to be a part of this team. It is more about them than it is about the team. I cannot play with them, cannot win with them, cannot coach with them, can't do it. I want winners. I want people that want to win.
Cannot play with them, cannot play with them, cannot win with them, cannot coach them. Cannot do it.
That was really well said. Like, that was really well put together, and you could tell he was passionate about it. And that guy, you don't mess with that guy. That guy was an awesome player for the Bears. That guy was a maniac. And you could tell, like, he's actually taken part of himself, because he would never ever do that as a player. And he's like, what?
Well, listen, he played in a different era. First of all, he played his entire career for the Chicago Bears on Soldier Field. Soldier Field had maybe the second worst AstroTurf in the NFL at the time. Veteran Stadium, the AstroTurf was like a millimeter thick. It was like getting tackled on your driveway. Soldier Field, it was like maybe a millimeter thicker. It was the worst field. Those guys, they basically played They played in the NFL on a freeway. They basically played on the streets.
And I don't even think they had the hot coils underneath it like they do now to melt this. I think it was just hard as a rock.
Yeah, it was just
Turf was hard anyway, but I don't even think they had the coils underneath. Like now, Green Bay and Chicago, they got the coils underneath. They got that grass field. The technology has made it really, fantastic.
But
no, those guys, they must have got hurt all the time. They must have been crushed.
So, this guy, he made that speech back in 2009, right? When he was a coach of the Niners when they were terrible. but it holds true today, and of course, Kyle Shanahan's not that type of coach. He basically mumbled in the thing. He said no. He said he didn't want to play, and they asked him, "Well, what do you do now?" And he says, "Well, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be part of the team." Shanahan's got some terrible body language in those press conferences. He's not. He's more like Belichick than he is like this guy Singletary, which, I'm going to switch gears real quick. Belichick going to North Carolina is the dumbest thing I ever freaking heard of.
I don't even understand. I got to ask you this. I'm very confused. First of all, everybody always says that North Carolina is a basketball school, and it really always still will be a basketball school, no matter what. It doesn't matter if Belichick goes there or Parcells or anything. It doesn't matter. But the funny thing was, I didn't get it either, because I got to ask you something. Belichick is doing like stuff on TV, right? He's getting paid, and he got paid well as a coach, and he's doing good on these things. I like him with Peyton Manning. They do this breakdown. It's a good contrast, those two guys. And so he's doing good on that. It's an easier gig than trying to coach a college or a pro team. He's got his young hot chick, 29 years old or something, the girl, I don't know, she must be blind. Like she's out with him, like he's hot. It's so stupid. Obviously, we know why she's with him, unless he's just the most charming man in the universe. But it's the funny thing. Not. Yeah, and he's only getting $10 million, and then there might be some perks. So I'm thinking,
that's more. No, $10 million more. $10 million a year is more than he's going to make in the NFL.
And is it more than? And how much do you think he's getting from the TV shit?
The Cowboys don't even pay McCarthy $5 million, I bet. He doesn't make anything.
Yeah, he's 10. So he's going to get 10.
Yeah, he's not going to make any money in the pros. He's making money. My thing with this is, he doesn't have the personality to coach in college. He's here's the other thing. I'll bet you that when he starts recruiting next year, which, by the way, he's never done in his life. He's never recruited anybody. He doesn't have that kind of personality. But when he starts recruiting next year, he's going to go to a couple of homes, or they're going to approach a couple of kids, right, that are coming out of high school next year, and they ain't going to know who he is. I swear to God, a 17-year-old kid, the last time Belichick was relevant was 4 or 5 years ago at least, right? They're going to be like, who's that? The kid was 13 the last time Belichick was winning. His last few years at New England, he was awful. His team stunk. Brady was winning in Tampa. So it looks like they won because of Brady, which they didn't just win because of Brady, but it looks like that. And so Belichick's gonna, they're gonna, or he's gonna send his number one recruiter, to some kid, maybe the kids in Florida. Some top quarterback in Florida, Georgia. Maybe they go to Atlanta and they say, listen, we'd like to recruit you to North Carolina. You're going to play for one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, Bill Belichick. And the kid's going to go, I don't know who that is.
No.
Who's that? And the kid's father's going to be like, no, son, he's great. That guy's great. But the kid's going to be like, that guy? Nah. He's not going to get any talent there.
No, he's too old. Again, he doesn't have that personality. Who's that coach on Oklahoma State? That guy. He's got that personality. He can get young kids to follow him.
The only problem is he's a bad example for this conversation because he's about to get fired, or he almost got fired.
He was. But they had remember the guy,
Mike Gundy.
Yeah, and remember the guy that was coaching the Cardinals? He was at Texas Tech. And then he's where is he now?
Washington offensive coordinator Kingsbury.
And that's why Dion works at Colorado. You got to have a little something like a kid could watch Dion play ball back in the day if they don't know him and they see him do his stuff his into the end zone. They like that kind of stuff. Belichick is just a bump on a log, an old man, and they're gonna be so I don't care if he's the football whisperer. I don't care. This guy's old and I don't even know who he is. It's not Tom Brady. If it was Tom Brady, they may go, that's fucking Tom Brady.
Buddy, I'm going to tell you this. It ain't going to work. I agree. It's not going to work. He's going to go to North Carolina, and I swear to you, he's going to be 6-6 every year. It's not going to work. The other thing is this. One of the things that does work in his favor is even though he coached Brady for, over 15 years, he coached Brady forever, but part of his system at New England was that he would get rid of players. Like every time a player came up for a new contract, he would get rid of him and get new players in. So he was working sort of on a 5-year program with these guys. You know, I remember they had a defensive lineman named Richard Seymour who's going to be in, or I think he might be in the Hall of Fame. He got rid of Richard Seymour. He got rid of all of his defensive players, the linebacker Dante Hightower, Willie McGinnis. You know, he got rid of a lot of these guys, after they got older or whatever. So maybe he's a little practiced in, getting new guys into a system all the time. But he's not going to win. I don't care. He's not going to win. No. Kirby Smart is still going to win more games at Georgia. He's the number one guy now, right? And, and Saban's gone, so the new coach at Alabama, he's not winning. He was terrible this year. He lost to Vanderbilt.
And then in the ACC, he's not going to do anything. And I mean, even just like they haven't done anything. Like even their last two hot quarterbacks were terrible. Trubisky when he was there, and then that other guy.
Oh no, but he might be good though. Drake May, I think he looks good.
No, but even the other guy that went to Washington and he's gone now. He went to the Commanders and he was a North Carolina quarterback product.
Yes. Sam. Yes. Yeah.
So who's Belichick going to get? Who's he going to get? You got to get a quarterback. Who's he going to get?
Yeah.
That Clemson's not going to get, or these other schools. And
there you go. Like Dabo's the kind of coach that they're going to play for.
So tell me what it is. Is it just ego?
I don't know.
Or is he just bored? Or is he bored?
Some people say that he's trying to start a pathway for his son Steve Belichick to get the head coaching job there when he's done. But I don't think Steve needs that. Steve Belichick, I think, is the defensive coordinator in Seattle or somewhere right now. I don't think that he needs.
Yeah, you're right. He is. He's doing well.
Yeah, I don't think he needs his father to get him a job. I think he could get a job on his own if he's going to get a job.
I think sometimes these guys can't let it go. Like he's done well, obviously, and then just do the little stuff on TV and hang out with your hot chick. Like it's just so he doesn't need the money.
No, I thought he was going to come back to the NFL and take the Jaguars job or the Cowboys job, and see if he could turn around one of those teams, spend 3 or 4 or 5 years trying to do that, and then that would be it.
That's fine.
Well, the other thing this guy would do is he's goofy. He probably worked out some buyout in his contract. He might coach there 2 years and then go back to the NFL. I don't know. Like
would Mark Davis like to have him for the Raiders? Vegas Raiders?
Sure he would.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to last there. You're right. It's not going to happen. But I just don't know why he did it now when there's all these coaching possibilities in the NFL.
Yeah, no one knows.
Well, like it's almost like, couldn't he wait? I would have waited a little longer because people are going to start talking about vacancies like soon. Like, did you have to jump out? Like they're going to get someone else better than you, North Carolina. You could have bought yourself some time and then maybe spoke to like the Jags and the Raiders. Oh, and,
buddy, here's the other thing. This is the thing that's even funnier. Is I was reading about this last night. The AD, the athletic director at North Carolina, I think his name is like a Bubba or something. Like his name is like Bubba Cunningham or something, right? He wanted to approach one of the young coaches at Tulane University. He was a really good coach at Tulane, right? He wanted to go after one of these young coaches that's doing good at one of the mid-majors and bring him up, move him in there. And I guess that one of the boosters did a separate coaching search. So there's not even a streamline in North Carolina where they all wanted him. But I think the the athletic director at North Carolina, I think he did a publicity stunt. I think he showed up at the press conference when they announced Belichick is a new coach. I think the AD showed up when he cut off the sleeves of his blazer. Oh, okay. Because Belichick cuts the sleeves off of the hoodie, right? So he's acting like he's all in, but he was conducting a separate coaching search. He was
looking for a younger coach and maybe Tulane. Tulane's got some good offensive minds.
Well, there's a coach at Tulane that did a fantastic job with this team, and they mentioned another coach that just got a big job, but he came from a mid-major. So, like they were saying that he was going to go after one of these young coaches because they just had Mac Brown back again for his second tour of duty there, and Mac Brown is older than Belichick, and he's in his late 70s.
Yeah,
so they don't want another old coach.
Him. Matt Brown was great when he coached Texas.
Yeah, he was good.
But, he had a lot of great players too. Like, it was kind of hard to mess that up. But it's just stupid. I don't know. Like, I don't have any thoughts about Belichick, either positive or negative. I still think that he's a good coach. He was a good coach with Cleveland Browns, and wasn't he a coach for the Jets for a while?
No, that's the thing. He was a coach for the Jets for one day.
Yeah, and then Cleveland was before.
Yeah, for 5 years.
Yeah,
5 years, I think.
And where do you meet Parcells? In Cleveland?
Well, no, he was Parcells' defensive coordinator. Well, he originally was like a linebackers coach.
Yeah.
He was like a position coach when Parcells took over the Giants in the 80s. Parcells took over the Giants in 1983, somewhere around there, 83, 84.
He did good too. He got him to the Super Bowl.
And then Belichick was the defensive coordinator. Well, Belichick was the defensive coordinator when the Giants beat the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl in '91, and he put together that great defense that stopped that Buffalo team, that they were running through everybody.
Yeah, that was,
Belichick was always a great defensive coordinator, no doubt, great defensive mind, and ain't going to work in North Carolina. He ain't going to stop Georgia. Get out of here.
No, and I always say, like, I know people in New England, they hate it when I say this, but I say it because I still think all those Super Bowls they won, New England back then, yeah, Belichick was good. They had Brady. They had good teams, don't get me wrong, but their division stunk every year, and they got to beat up on those 4 teams, get 8 wins, and then if you got home field, you got home field, and I just think it was an easier path. I'm sorry for them. And then when they played some good teams, the Giants beat them twice. Seattle almost beat them. Seattle had them on the ropes. They should have just ran the ball, and they would have beat them. I'm trying to think any other game like Atlanta. They came back from Atlanta.
Well, they were losing 28-3.
I mean, they blew that one. So, it seems like when they got to the Super Bowl, obviously the better team, hopefully the best team on the other end is going to be there. But it just seemed like, every year they were getting there. Like I have a problem now with the with a lot of the divisions in the NFL. Like right now, I want to segue. I want to say something about my Vikings because I have a problem with all these divisions now. I have a problem with the Atlanta Tampa Bay division. I have a problem with the Rams and the Arizona Niner division. And because I'm just getting tired of these divisions, like even the East, like the AFC East, but in the NFC, what I'm upset about is the seedings right now. And I was on a line, like talking about it. And these people were like, I was telling them, I don't think it's fair that these teams win a division and they're 500 or less, or there's a wild card or 2 wild card teams because they're in a tough division like the Vikings and the Packers. And they don't reseed it in the first round because they should. I'm not taking the division championship away from those other teams, but they shouldn't be rewarded just because they won that crappy division and get a home game against a better team that's got a better record that maybe even beat them during the regular season. I just think if anything, if you're not going to reseed it like the NBA does, they just reseed right off the bat, and then they do their plan. If you're not going to do that, at least if there's a wild card team that didn't win a division that's got a better record than the team they're going to match up in the first round, give them a home game. Just give them the home game then, that game. And I'm just getting tired of this. Like the Vikings are 11-2, and they're not going to win that division probably. And they're going to have a way better record. And the Packers are probably going to have a way better record than Atlanta or Tampa or Seattle or whoever else comes out of there, the Cardinals or whatever.
The only thing is, though, the Vikings are 11-2. But they still could win the division because they have such an easy schedule. I mean, their schedule's so easy.
This year, they had an easy schedule. Their strength of schedule is just a little bit north of 400.
So, I don't feel so bad. I mean, the Lions got to play the Bills this week, right?
And then they got to play they play the Vikings. They play another tough team after the Bills. They got I think they got a cupcake in between.
These are the Niners' remaining 4 games. Now, I mean, the Lions. The Lions play, they're home against the Bills tomorrow, right? Tough. Then they go to Chicago, and then they go to the 49ers on Monday night, and then they close at home against the Vikings. So the Lions got 4 games that are easy, and the Vikings.
Yeah, because the Niners will always come to play, right, T? The Niners will always come to play.
Yeah, even though, well, they'll come to play with every player except one.
Yeah, except the one guy that left.
Yeah, the one guy you could have come to play.
And the Vikings got an easy schedule. They got Chicago, Seattle, and then they got Packers and Lions.
The Vikings have had the easiest schedule I've ever seen in my life. I think the Vikings I think the Vikings, they even played Seton Hall this year. They played nobody.
The Pirates. Well, you know what? But I've been waiting for an easy schedule because if you go back just the last 3 years, their schedule has always been hard. Like it's tough. They just happened to this year get the AFC South. They got the AFC South, and then they got the NFC West.
Yeah,
and like so. But I still don't like. What do you think of my idea?
Well, I like the reseeding idea, but the NFL, they don't like to do changes like that, you know. And I tell you another thing is, you know what the NFL likes? You know what they love? They love fans like you bitching about the playoff seedings. They love that. Like the controversy is great. You know, I mean, there's someone in the AFC, you know, in Baltimore or Denver or Pittsburgh that's bitching about New England getting the easy schedule for years and years, you know, so they love
and now
that.
They're saying the Bills. Now those fans and those fan bases are talking about the Bills getting the easy fucking road. You know,
well, listen, remember when the Vikings lost 4 Super Bowls and the Bills lost 4 Super Bowls? And remember when the Broncos lost 4 Super Bowls? Remember all 4 of those teams, they all lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. And the reason they all lost those Super Bowls was because in the regular season, they were good until they got to host the playoffs. So the Rams would have to go up to Minnesota and play in a blizzard. So by the time Minnesota got to the Super Bowl, it was always in Miami or New Orleans, and Minnesota wasn't any good. Same thing with Denver. When Denver had Elway, they were hosting games up in Mile High Stadium in terrible weather, and so then Denver would go to LA to play the Niners and give up 50 points. So it was like
– and the Bills were the same way.
All those teams were hosting playoff games in the worst weather, and then when they get to the Super Bowl, they were playing in a dome, and it was different. They just couldn't keep up.
Pasadena or you
know
what the thing is too? I guarantee you, if you look up those 12 losses of those Super Bowls by those 3 teams, I guarantee you, out of those 12, there's probably like 9, if not 10, they had home field in the last game of the championship game of the.
Well, I know that the Bills had home field all 4 years,
and I think the Vikings did too.
Yeah, and I know Denver won. Denver actually won. They did win 2. They won 2 AFC championship games in Cleveland.
In Cleveland, yeah.
They should.
But they were used to those elements from being in Denver. That was nothing to them. Go to Cleveland.
Yeah, and then Denver would go to Pasadena, and they couldn't keep up. They get blown off the field.
I believe everything you're saying. I used to tell people that even before Denver won those 2 Super Bowls, and they were like, "Really?"
But that's why since the Vikings got the Dome Stadium, they've never come close to the Super Bowl because teams go up there and beat them in the playoffs.
Yep.
You know,
I still want them to if they don't want to reseed, then fine. But this has been going on forever with these teams in the bad divisions, under 500, 500, 1 game above. Then there's a wild card team, or there's a division that's a little tougher. It always happens. And then the wild card team's got a better record. Maybe they already played them in the regular season. Maybe they didn't. But I just think if you're not going to reseed it, you got to be rewarded. If the Vikings end up going like 11, let's say 12, 13, and 2, 14, and 3 or something and then they don't get a home game and they end up playing let's just say Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is a game below 500. It's like baloney. They got to go to Tampa. You got to give them something. And I know no one wants to talk about it. You know, I'm just trying to say 2 different things. I would reseed it, but at least
I know.
At least the home game, because then you get 1 home game. You're not trying to go 3 away games to make it to the Super Bowl. And the only way you don't go 3 away games is if a higher seed team loses, right? And then you can maybe get another home game out of it. But, you know,
Barry, they still have a very good chance of winning the division, though. I don't know why you're giving up on the division. They're only 1 game back.
Well, I think I need the Bills this weekend to beat the Lions, and then
they're going to beat the Lions.
And then I need the 49ers. Where's that game?
No. If the Lions lose this week to the Bills, aren't they going to be 11-2 or 12? Like, will they be 12-2? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Vikings win out. They're going to beat the Lions the last game of the year. They're going to win the division. The Lions are going to have 3 losses. The Vikings are going to go 15-2.
And it would be really good though if San Fran beat them too.
Yeah. That's
I mean, that would help too. I need that. I have to get that. It's like it's like going to the casino right now and rolling the dice. I gotta have 7. I gotta have 7. I gotta have 7 because I just have to get them. I gotta get them home field. I gotta get that. And I know what you mean. They still get beat in their own stadium, but that home field is hard to play at. That way that stadium's set up. And but I agree with you about the weather. Like, it's different. You told me a story once that Ahmad Rashad used to run the guy at the old Metropolitan Stadium in Minnesota. Did you tell me he used to run the guy into the pitcher's mound or something?
Yeah, well, the Vikings used to play in the same stadium as the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, the Met.
I think it was called Metropolitan. Yeah. And of course they, during football they would repaint the field so it didn't look like a baseball field. You couldn't tell. It wasn't like the Raiders. The Raiders always had the infield on the football field. You hate it. You hated that.
It was so shitty. It was like, it's like a professional. Let me say
you
something.
hated that.
Let me say something. It's a professional sports team with a bunch of money.
You hated that.
And they're playing on a field like we used to play at the Sandlot game.
Yeah, no, you hate it.
I'm like, this is ridiculous.
You used to hate it. But at the old Metropolitan Stadium in Minnesota, they didn't do that. They would sod over the infield, so you couldn't tell that it was a baseball field. But Ahmad Rashad, he knew where the pitcher's mound was, and even though they took the mound down, they took it down. Yeah. It was still raised a little higher than the rest of the field. Yeah. And Ahmad Rashad said that he used to know when they'd get down to the 5 or 10 yard line, he would run the defensive back up that pitcher's mound, and the guy would stumble, and then he would turn out and always be open for a touchdown pass. Remember when we interviewed Ahmad Rashad when he was doing basketball, and I said that to him, and he said, "How'd you know that?" Right? Yeah. I remember I said, "Hey, you used to run like up the pitcher's mound," and he said, because he had no personality, by the way, he was like a dud, right? But when we interviewed him, and I said, "Hey, remember you used to run like up the pitcher's mound?" He would stumble, and you run off, and you catch that touchdown pass, and he'd say, "How'd you know that?" I said, "Oh, I read it." You know what I mean? And
they all, like you said, they all had advantages. The Vikings had advantages at that stadium because the weather, and they also had other little things they knew. And also the Bills. Remember the Bills? There was a big thing about the Bills that they would take the fourth quarter, make sure they had there was one tunnel on one end. And they never would go towards that tunnel on the fourth quarter. They always would try to go the other way. And then they would open that tunnel, and the wind would come in. And the other team was trying to drive down there, kick field goals. It was impossible.
Yeah, no, for sure, buddy.
I'm sure Denver had their own little things. Could you just learn things of your home field and the little idiosyncrasies of it? And I think that's like people, like when I told people what you said about the 12 Super Bowls, and I said, go look it up. I guarantee 10, if not more, where they had home field, at the championship game. And then they go to a neutral field. The weather isn't a factor, and they get blown out. And I go, I guarantee you. And people they were thinking like these kids. They're like, maybe. I go, no, it's true. Those teams couldn't lose 12. I mean, come on. Yeah. So I'm still again, I'm bummed out about this. What's going to happen?
Listen, buddy, let me tell you. In keeping with your Vikings, in keeping with the last 50 years with the Vikings, what's probably going to happen is, and I hate to paint this picture, but what's going to happen? We know this. The Lions are going to lose to the Bills tomorrow, right? So they're going to be tied with the Vikings. The Vikings are going to win out. They're going to beat the Lions the last day of the season, and they're going to get home field advantage. And you're going to be happy. You're going to be so happy that they're getting home field advantage, right? Yeah. And so their first playoff game they're going to host, and they're going to play the Commanders. Right? Probably the second lowest rated team. Mm-hmm. The Commanders are going to come in and they're going to kick the shit out of the Vikings and knock them out of the playoffs. That's probably what's going to happen because it always does.
So one last thing I want to ask you before we do bless our bets without Father Tony. Father Tony's not available. He's doing another. And Christmas is hard for Father Tony.
Yeah.
At Christmas, there's they pull and tug at Father Tony like crazy. He's all over the place, with the bells and the smoker and everything. But anyway, before we get into the bets, I want to ask you this. So Sam Darnold, they've got Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy, okay? And J.J. McCarthy's on his rookie contract. He already got hurt 1 year. So even if he ever did really good, they probably want to up him until maybe year 4 because he already missed a year. But let me ask you this. If you're the Vikings, if you franchise Sam Darnold for 50 mil, and then you give Daniel Jones a little whatever, they get rid of Mullins, and then they got JJ McCarthy, and you still roll with.
Well, they're not going to keep Daniel Jones. He's only there for 6 weeks. He's gone.
Right now.
No, Daniel Jones is going to seek a big contract when the season's over.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Yeah, he's not an option.
So the Vikings, they don't want to go back to Kirk Cousins' way. I don't think they want to do that. But shouldn't they try to keep him, like just franchise him for 50, and maybe Darnold will go, I want to stay one more year here. I'm not going to go and get a gigantic contract and go to some crappy team. I want to stay with the Vikings, or no?
Yeah, they're not going to – there's no way they're going to franchise Sam Darnold. The contract's too high. Dak Prescott's contract at $60 million a year, it drives up the franchise tag because the franchise tag is like a portion – it's like a percentage of the highest paid contract in the league. So they can't franchise Darnold.
Well, what would they be able to do? They're going to get back. They're stuck into a dilemma.
No. Relax. This is what they're going to do. There's already a framework of a deal in place right now that the Vikings are going to follow. They're going to do the same thing that Tampa Bay did with Baker Mayfield. Tampa Bay got Baker Mayfield last year, and he played really well for them. And they liked him, so they signed him to like a 2 or 3 year deal at like $20-25 million a year. They gave him some guarantees, and they gave him a good deal, but it's nowhere near the bullshit Prescott or Cousins deals.
Okay.
Nowhere near that. So what the Vikings are going to do is they're going to approach Darnold, and they're going to offer him either a 2 or 3 year deal at this medium range price. And if Darnold refuses, then he's going to hit the free agent market seeking. He might be looking for the big deal, And the Vikings are going to try to work it out with him. And I'm sure that if they get him signed to a 2 year deal or something, it's going to give them some kind of room where if McCarthy does come back and play and he's as good as they think he's going to be, they can easily move Darnold. They can easily trade him for some good draft picks.
And what do you think, Darnold? We can't read his mind, but do you think he'd rather stay in Minnesota on one of those deals than try to go to some crappy team for $200 million?
Well, listen, if he's getting offered 2 years at $60 million or 2 years at $55 million, and someone's going to offer him 5 years at $200 million, well, no, he's not going to stay in Minnesota. No, he's going to go to – well, first of all, when you sign with another team in the NFL – you don't think that team is always going to be a crappy team.
No, I know.
No, he's not going to stay. He's going to go to the Raiders, or the Raiders might want him.
I'm just hoping because
he's not going to stay.
Scenarios. I'm just hoping because of the bad scenarios with the Jets in Carolina that he still wants to make money, obviously, because that's what he's doing this for. But I'm just thinking that he will take what you said, the Baker Mayfield thing. I didn't think about that. I think he might take that even if he gets offered. Someone else is trying to offer him the big money because I think he's worried.
Not if the Raiders come in with a 5 year, $150 million deal. There's no way.
So then I'm stuck. Then I'm lost. Because then I got to keep Daniel Jones, and I got J.J. McCarthy and Mullins, and they're got to put J.J. McCarthy out there and hope he is what he is. Because right now, I think Darnold is obviously better than J.J. McCarthy right now because he's older and he's just learned more over time. But I also think
he's good.
I just think technically too, his skill level, his toolbox is way fuller as a quarterback and what you need than J.J. McCarthy. I didn't see anything in college that showed me J.J. McCarthy.
Well, what the Vikings were able to do with Darnold is it Cliff O'Connell? No, not Cliff O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell, right? Yeah. Kevin O'Connell, right? So what Kevin O'Connell has done with Darnold is he got him to stop turning over the ball.
Yeah.
Like the turnovers are down. I mean, that's basically all he's done. I mean, Darnold was always a talented guy.
He's got an arm.
But the turnovers would kill him. So, and then also, I mean, let's face it, he's got a lot of weapons. Now, I don't know about that tight end. Did that hacky sack guy? Did he come back?
Yeah, he's back. He had one really good game. Then he had an okay game. They're spreading it around. He had a really good game against the Bears. He smoked the Bears in that overtime.
Yeah, and this guy Addison, he stepped up. He played well lately too, right?
I tell you, you watched that. Did you watch the Atlanta game? Oh my God!
Oh, they killed him.
I was so happy because I was like, I didn't want Cousins to get hurt. But I just wanted, in my mind, I needed to know as a Viking fan that they did the right thing, and they probably did the wrong thing by giving all that money the first time. But I was so happy that Darnold outplayed him like 5 TDs. I mean, the guy was moving around the pocket. Did you see that one? He moved in and out of the pocket and threw it to JJ. Cousins would have got crushed. He would have the statue. He just would have went down.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree,
you know
buddy.
what Cousins goes down like? He goes down like those statues that they tear down in those third world countries when the people revolt. And
you mean like Stalin, like the Stalin statue?
Yeah, like they just did one in Syria. The statue goes boom. That's how he looks in the pocket when he's moving around. He really can't move. Then he just falls. But I'm telling you right now, the Vikings. I was so happy for Darnold and the Vikings in general because. There were a lot of Viking fans at the beginning of the year. You know, I go to all the blogs, right? And you know what they're talking about? They still were in love with Kirk Cousins. I think we screwed up. I think we screwed up. So I was so happy because I knew they did the right thing. And Atlanta's smarter than anyone thinks. Everybody was like, what's Atlanta doing picking Penix? They're dumb. They got Cousins. They gave him all that money. That was the smartest move they could have made because Cousins is done. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
No, Cousins is done. All right, good. So let's get off this ends up being a Viking show. The Old Man in Sweats is a Viking show. We're a Viking show.
We should just call it old men.
Jesus, Old Men in Bloomington.
Old Men in Bloomington. Or
My buddy keeps telling me you should change it to Old Men in Shades. He's like, old men in sunglasses. He goes, what is it with the sunglasses? I said, listen, it's part of the uniform. What can I tell you? We got to wear the sunglasses. I said, my buddy always says, Tommy, go get your shades. What are you doing? Go get your sunglasses.
Because we wear them. People wear shades.
Yeah. Okay, so listen. So now we're going to pick some teams.
All right, let's go. Yeah, we're going to bless our bets without Father Tony.
So last week, how did I do?
You were 2-1.
Okay, so I lost
the Atlanta game.
I'm 16-10. Like I know 16-9. I mean, it's crazy.
I was 2-1.
Yeah, you lost the last game.
The last game I lost the over by a couple points.
No, the last game was didn't you have the Rams and the Niners?
No, Cincinnati Cowboys. I didn't win the over.
Oh yeah. That was a low scoring game. Yeah, that's right.
But Father Tony was not good.
No, Father Tony, come on.
I think it was 1-2 or 0-3.
Yeah, he's not gonna. Father Tony can't keep up. Okay, so listen. The reason I got such a winning record this year in betting is because I'm picking against the Cowboys every single week, and I'm winning. And this week they're gonna lose again. Carolina with Chubba Hubbard. He's gonna kill them.
They're only -3 at home, Carolina.
Listen, the Carolina Panthers are going to beat the Cowboys by at least 10. So that's my first pick. Love the Cowboys, right? Now, here's my pick of the year, my surprise pick of the year. Cleveland's going to beat Kansas City.
Wow.
Straight up. I got Cleveland over Kansas City. Kansas City is playing like shit. Listen, and the other thing is this. I don't know what the statistics are. Like, I haven't looked them up. But when you win a game on a last-second field goal on the last play of the game and it doinks in off the upright, my guess is that you lose the next week automatically. Karma's gonna be so. Cleveland is gonna they're gonna harass Mahomes. They're gonna sack Mahomes and this guy Winston, who's colorblind.
He's crazy.
But he's gonna smoke the hell out of Kansas City. So Cleveland's gonna beat Kansas City.
Are you gonna take the points? Because it's -4.5 Kansas City. You gonna want to take the +4.5 for the heck of it?
Yeah, I got the +4.5. Yeah,
all right,
they're gonna beat us, but I'll take the +4.5. Right?
Okay.
You know, right? And so that's my second game, and then my third game is Buffalo's gonna beat Detroit in Detroit.
Yeah, and you got 2.5. You can get 2.5 there. You can add 2.5. You like that one?
Going to win 28-27, and I'm going to win that bet.
I wonder, when did you start betting completely against the Cowboys?
I bet the New Orleans game. The New Orleans was going to beat the Cowboys. I didn't touch the game the first game of the year. I didn't touch the Cowboys, right?
Okay.
And so then the second game I went New Orleans, and then I bet against the Cowboys the whole year. I lost against Pittsburgh when they got lucky and they scored a touchdown on their last drive. They got lucky, and then I got lucky against the Giants. They beat the Giants, but their kicker missed a field goal, And so the Giants had 5.5. The Cowboys won by 5. So I'm 8-2 with the Cowboys.
So that's big money. If people out there just bet how you were betting against the Cowboys for the 10 weeks, you're 8-2. That's a lot of money.
The Cowboys stink. Like they stink.
I love that strategy. Because some people won't stick with that, but that was a good strategy.
And listen, you don't see me veering off it now, do you?
No, you keep going. I mean, you went with it last week, and the line was like 7 or 6.5, 6.
Yeah,
and they won by 7. You covered.
I won.
I mean, and that game didn't look like you were going to cover. And then
but
Dallas just falls apart.
Listen, buddy, they blocked the punt. They were going to win the game. There's a minute left. They blocked the punt, and then only in the Cowboys fashion, the other guy pulled a Leon Lett and touched the ball.
I could not believe it. I'm like, who? This is what I want to know too. I don't know what sideline that was near. It doesn't matter because there's players on the field. But wasn't anyone telling him, "Get away, get away, get away"?
It was the Cowboys sideline, but there's no way that a player hears the sideline. Like, there's no way he don't hear the sideline. And the other thing is, in defense of the guy, he was trying to catch the ball and return it. Like, he was trying to go with it.
Yeah, I know.
It was hilarious. That thing bounced right off his arms, and then of course they were going to lose that game. That was hilarious.
Oh yeah, right after that, you knew they were going to lose that game, and they were losing the game when Joe Burrow's house was getting robbed. And Joe Burrow's throwing the ball around, and
they always do that. They always go rob the guy's house when he's playing.
Yeah, they robbed Joe Burrow's house, like he was playing the game, and then he ends up being and the house got robbed. But anyway, so you got, let's see here. I'm going to recap Tommy T's bets. Week 15, he's got the Bills plus 2.5. He's got the Panthers -3. And then, of course, he's got the where's the other one? The Browns. He's got the Browns plus 4.5 at home against KC. Now, my totals, I'm going to do my over-under. Over-under Barry's here right off the bat.
I know your first over-under. I know exactly what your first over-under is.
Which one? It's easy. Which one?
It's going to be Miami-Houston.
Yes, Miami-Houston, I'm taking over.
I know your picks, buddy. How come I know your picks?
46.5. I'll bet down to 46. What's the next one that's obvious?
Well, the next one, you're going to take Buffalo-Detroit.
Yeah, all day right there. 54.5. It'll be 54. Now, the next one, I've been going back and forth on the next one. And I think I'm going to take – tell me which one you think I'm going to take. I think I'm going to take the Packers and the Seahawks over.
Yeah, I like that one too. I knew you liked that one because
I'm going to take that one over. Yeah. 46.5. I'll go 46.
The other one that I like is Cincinnati, Tennessee, because Cincinnati's got no defense.
I was looking at that one. That's exactly the other one I was looking at. But the reason I want to switch is because I think Geno. I'd rather have my trust in Geno at home. I think you'll get something out of that. Whereas Will Levis, Will Levis, I don't even know what he's doing. I don't trust him. I trust Burrow, but the Titans might only get 3 points. So I'll take Geno Smith. I like that Geno Smith. Geno Smith is a more polished Jameis Winston. He's
doing good. Geno's doing good, buddy.
What do you think of that Jameis Winston? He's weird. A weird guy.
You know what I don't like about this guy? I remember watching him years ago when he was playing for Tampa Bay. Before he had the 30 for 30. Remember he had 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. That was his last year. But the year before, he was playing against, Sunday night. He was playing against someone on Sunday night. And he had 2 delay of game penalties when, he was just at the line of scrimmage. And the clock's right there. And he's, calling plays. And he runs out of time. Twice. And I watched him the other day, and he had 2 more delay of game penalties. This guy doesn't even have an inner clock. This guy is the worst.
But the funny thing is, he's the worst, but he's actually better than the guy they paid all that money for that was right around.
No, I mean, he'll get you. He played great against the Steelers a few weeks ago. He played awesome against the Steelers, or who was it? There was a game, the Ravens. He played great against someone.
The Ravens, I think it was, right? He played really good.
Throwing the ball all over the field.
He's a funny guy. He's a funny guy. He
can't even keep track of the game, the play clock, or he's not. He's just not a detailed guy. You could just tell, and he's got talent, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, he's an interesting guy, but I think it's funny too that he's still doing better than the guy they gave all that money to that had all the problems. It's hilarious. All right, so you got your 3 picks. I got my 3 over-unders. And the Vikings are playing Monday night, so I'm not going to take that game. I don't bet the Vikings. So, but that game, I like that game. I think the Vikings, they're -7. Wow, Vikings -7.
They're going to kill them.
That's a lot of points. But anyway, okay, that was a good conversation. We went from the basketball, college hoops, the CUSE, Army, Navy, NFL, Vikings, the 49er. Right? The 49er guy did he get fired yet? Did they officially fire the 49er guy?
I don't know if they officially waived him yet. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen the official waiving, but there's no way that guy's going to wear 49er red ever again.
No. And it was bad. Father Tony will be back next week before Christmas. It's too bad we missed him this week, but that's the way it goes. When you're a man of the cloth, you have a lot of people that you need to help out. So that's the way it goes. All right, so T, that was good. So I'll text you during the Sunday. You're gonna go to the usual spot and watch.
Yeah, I'll be at Sunday morning. I'll be at the Green Valley Ranch. Games.
Yeah, you like it there.
I'll even go Monday night. So I'll talk to you during the game Monday night. I'll go to GVR Monday night and watch the games too.
Oh yeah, because there's two Monday night games on. The Raiders are home.
Yeah, the Raiders are home. But I'll probably go to GVR and watch the Vikings at the casino.
Oh yeah, because Monday night will be good because the Raiders are home, and so that's on TV too.
Yeah,
they're both at the same time, aren't they? That's interesting. Yeah,
they're like a half hour apart.
Are they a half hour apart?
I think they're a half hour apart. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So that's good, but that's good. That's good. All right, so cool. So I'm probably going to get another win, the Vikings. I'm just going to keep rolling.
So. Yeah,
I'm going to keep rolling. All right, T, thanks a lot for your time. Old Men and Sweats, Brady and Tommy T.
Old Men and Shades.
Old Men and Shades. That's the next one. Old Men and Shades.
All right, buddy. Take care, buddy.
All right, buddy. Take care. Adios.
Hey, yo. Put your hands together for Old Men and Sweat. Old Men and Sweat. Put your hands together, y'all. Barry D, Tommy T. We're going to have a good time tonight. Let's go. It's Old Men and Sweat.